Welcome back. Today we are getting our off-grid, gravity-fed garden watering system hooked up, so we thought we'd talk to you a little bit about this. This is something that Seth developed a couple of years ago. Since we don't have a well or a pump, it allows us to simply water our garden without having to worry about things like pumps. So we're about 75 feet up a hill from the garden, and there's a water tank that we will keep filled, and then there will be these really neat hose and piping systems that are connected to valves that we can open one or a couple at a time to water the garden and not have to worry about moving hoses or sprinklers. So we'll give you some insight into how this all works and as we put it together and we get it set for our garden for the year. We hope you'll join us.
So what you see, what I've got laid out here, is for our gravity-fed system. Like Jenny mentioned earlier, that this is about 75 feet from the garden, so we've got a pretty good flow. I haven't put a PSI motor or a monitor to it to see exactly what kind of pressure we got going on, but it's enough to push water through soaker hoses, so that's how I designed this. And as you can see, I've got it pretty close to anywhere between 11 and 12 inches apart from each other, each valve. And this is a 3-inch ball valve, and I used these plastic ones is because I don't leave it out during the winter. I'll drain it, and I put a drain at the other end of it where I can get all the water out of it and then just store it in a building. And this is pretty simple, it's pretty easy, it's pretty cost effective. I don't know exactly how much I've got into it, but I can look into it and post it in the suggestions when we're editing this video. And so some of the valves are different. You can see some are black and some are white. The black ones I just found out that are a little bit more UV protectant, so I kind of like that idea. They're a little more expensive than the white valves, which is weird to me, but that's okay. They give me a good price on them. So I've got a nipple on one end that'll go into the pipe with a threaded garden thread on the other, and that's important if you don't want it to leak. And I don't use any pipe thread or pipe tape or pipe dope, just because I want to be able to get them on and off, and I don't want the mess or the chemical getting into my water when it's going through the pipe. So I'm going to finish this off. I got a couple to replace and a couple to add, and we'll be able to get some water down it.
When your soul is lonely, sad and blue, ain't got no loving shoulders to lean on, there's always a sunny side across the river. Take a ride, take a swim, and all your worries go away. Go cross the river and you'll be fine. Go counting winners, it's right down the line. You'll be alright on the sunny side. Lost in the city lights, ain't got nowhere to turn your winding wheels. There's always the sunny side across the river.
So we had to do this a little differently than what we were allotted to, due to the fact that we didn't have all the right pieces at the hardware store, and we're in a little bit of a time crunch. We just kind of went with what we could come up with. So this looks a little different. This is the end that we're supposed to use the tie into the water line, but I had to put a little shut-off valve in it because I got to use this end. And something to take a note here, when you're doing these kind of systems, pay attention to what is the difference between pipe thread and garden thread. Garden thread's a little wider of a gap in the thread pattern, and pipe thread is a little bit coarser, and it's a little bit difficult to mother them both up. So you got to pay attention to that when you go from a garden hose to a pipe thread. So we're going to go ahead and get this hooked up and get the lines down on the ground for the rows.
Hey there, buddy, are you doing all right? I'm doing great, as a matter of fact. I'm on the road. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The bad days are gone, and now I'm on the road. The weather has cleared and the sky is blue. Anything I want, baby, I can do. I'm on the road. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The bad days are gone, and now I'm on the road. Let me tell you, baby.
Alright, so we have the hoses laid out. The next thing we're going to do is divide the mulch back and let the hose lay right on the dirt. We've already kind of looked, and it is a lot wetter under the mulch than it is outside of the mulch. So it looks like it's going to be doing its job. So we're going to put the hoses right down on the dirt, which is where we'll run our seed lines as well. And at the very end of each hose, we will stake down the hose so it stays put throughout the watering season.
I've heard that I was down with the blues, but I can't give you more reason news. I'm on the road. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The bad days are gone, and now I'm on the road. Yes, I am. Oh, yes, I am. I'm on the road. Those bad days are gone, and now I'm on the road. Those bad days are gone, and now I'm on the road. Those bad days are gone, and now I'm on the road.
So we just finished up that row, and we're going to plant beets and carrots down the row, so we'll see what pops up first. Please like and subscribe, guys, and comment if you've done this type of gardening before. Permaculture is something that's new to us. We're still kind of reading and researching, and if there's some do's and don'ts out there that you guys have experienced, let us know, and then we'll adjust accordingly, and we'll be much thankful for that, so we can continue to grow on how we do this project. Thanks, guys.